By the end of the video, you'll know the best builds to rip and tear with this Marauder and also the worst ones to avoid so you don't waste your money. So we're going to be working off of this push forward ability that says when the Marauder is in motion, he will do more damage and also more dodge. How much? We'll talk about that. So we need to go to the build section here. What weapons primary should you use? Okay, so first of all we need to understand that the upgraded Marauder has about a 10% bonus on damage when he is moving, when he's fully upgraded, so it's basically a full damage boost for free. Now the dodge, we'll get to that here in just a second. I did some testing on it. You want to use the heavy cannon. You do not want to use the burst rifle or chain gun. What about the plasma? What about everything else? We'll talk about that. So when you have this burst rifle out, you have to stand still with this. It incentivizes you standing still for accuracy, so naturally this counteracts or contradicts what the Marauder's all about. So we know that's not a good play there. The chain gun, typically people don't move around with it a lot so they can get their speed up. I think it's fine to move around with some, but really anything that has you standing still is a bad play. And although the chain gun is great, it's still not the right play here. The shotgun, you're getting up in their face, you're doing a lot of damage, you're always moving. That's a fine pick. Same with the plasma and the heavy cannon, although I think the heavy cannon is better than the plasma itself. So go with one of those for your primary. For your secondary, do something with high damage, because think about it this way. The higher damage that you do, the more the increase is going to be. For example, 10% of 100,000, like with this epic Gauss at 111,873, is more than 10% of, say, a weaker rocket launcher, right? The damage on this screen isn't indicative of the full thing about the weapon. For example, the ballista only shows you a small amount of damage, and it's not the explosion damage. Do something with high damage, your best weapon. I've got to go with Gauss. I'm a fanboy. I'm using Unmaker here. Don't think it's the best choice actually for it, and here is why. The Unmaker's great because due to the new ultimate changes, you can actually have one for every boss. Nowadays, the BFG you can't. It's better with Samurai, but we don't have Samurai. We're using Marauder. So let me explain this to you here. When you have the Unmaker, you typically run up and you get right in a boss's face for those 9 blasts that it does. And that is good. You want to face tank the boss, and that's where Classic Slayer comes into play there, because he has that shield, the tough ability that should have been named IDDQD. Please let me know if you agree with me there. So he can get in the face. Well, you can do that with the Marauder here, but you continually have to move. So I find that the face tanking works best when you are sitting still, directly looking at the boss, directly in their face with the barrel of your weapon right beside of them, so everything that exits that barrel is in their face. It's not past them, it's right at them. If you're moving around with the Marauder, you're like with this Unmaker here, or even with the shotgun, you're going to have margin of error, right? Where you should be looking at them dead ahead like this, you're going to have to move a little bit. You might shoot some over here and there behind. It's a little worse. So for that reason, Unmaker is fine. I feel like charge time aside, the BFG is best, because you start your fight with the BFG, use the UAC at the start to clear out the arena, get the bonus. We'll talk about that. You shoot the BFG directly from there like at a boss. It has that travel time down the arena. Now, based off my testing, tell me if I'm wrong, you will start running with that BFG flying across the room, and that way you're still running with that shot. I mean, you can't run when you're shooting the BFG like you can with the Chainsaw, Crucible, or Unmaker. That's just my theory behind it there. Now, for the equipment, I originally was going to say Flame Belch. RIP the Flame Belch, right? Let me know if that hurt you too. So what I'm thinking here, Flame Belch is good, right? You're getting up in their face, you're moving around all the time, you're getting crowds of enemies together. Yeah, even after the nerf, that's a great choice for the Marauder. But the thing I'm looking at now is Acid Spit being in the meta, because you have a damage boost with that Marauder. Well, the Acid Spit is like an extra damage boost, or a reverse, but not a reverse, but it has a 10% debuff on the enemy. So they pair well together. You have the 10% damage of the Marauder, the 10% debuff of the Acid Spit to work alongside each other, right? That's where this damage build comes in, and that's why Acid, I think, is probably the play. Any of the other launchers work, but none of them take down defense like this does, and pair up well with the damage boost of that Marauder. Okay, this is going to be interesting. This is a very damage-oriented build, the Marauder is. So I like to run UAC because, so here's the thing, like the UAC and Demonic and Exhaustion, they work out over the same time period of 10 seconds to be the same damage, but that UAC, if you can do a lot of damage per second, and also TTK, time to kill, to the enemies in that room, that 5 seconds is so much more valuable than just having a static number there. So I will always simp for the UAC here, because you're trying to do all the damage you can with the Marauder, especially if you're farming. I know 10% isn't much, but this is a damage build we're focused on, so you want to do that as much as you can, as fast as you can, as powerful as you can. UAC will give you more crit, will give you more damage, way through the roof. It is just massive. I would also want to try, as soon as I get an epic one, an Exhaustion helmet, because you are having a damage for 5 seconds for the gloves, and the Exhaustion helmet is your static damage helmet. Being that this Marauder is a damage build, that would be something I want to try out. You won't get as many crits, but you should get more regular damage on top of that, and you still have your critical chance. As the meme says, that's a lot of damage. Now for your chest plate, you could honestly use the Exhaustion because it is a stagger chance, will keep those glory kills out, keep you healthy as you're getting in their faces, probably taking damage, glass cannon build style, right? So you can do that, or if you don't want to do Exhaustion for the full offense, do this little pair up trick I like here. Now we're going to work off of the dodge of the Marauder, and you might have seen in the video if you paid a keen and close eye, I'll be running through the spikes to test the melee dodge percent, and sometimes it felt like it was dang near, I wanted to say half, but like 33% dodge on that melee for that spike, which is beautiful. That's a lot of dodge, but the other times I'd go almost 10 hits, and I'm like, okay, I'm literally going to die in this recording. I'm trying to stay alive to the next part of the level, so do some more testing with that. Keep in mind, I did that with the boots here, which are 5% chance, when the other boots have a 25%, which is absolutely mental, or 20% rather. So you have to decide at this point here. All right, the boots and the chest combo that I'm working with, they are a fail-safe to each other. So step one, the outside gates, you have the boots giving you the dodge percent, and the Marauder dodge percent countering in with those, coming together with them, culminating for an even bigger dodge. So that makes it harder for the enemy to penetrate those, that's what she said, outside gates, and then that is even better because you have the boots and the Marauder dodge together. If they do break those gates and get to the inner gates, you have the damage resist to soak up some of that if you use this chest plate here. I like this because it absorbs everything, and most of the attacks you're going to be hit with, even if you're up close beside the enemy hugging them, are probably going to be ranged hits unless you can really bait out the melee. So this is your preference here. I do both because more hits come in as ranged, even if you're close. If you want to do melee, you can too, totally your choice. So let's talk abilities here. You have a dodge boost you can get to make up with if you want to play a little more defensively like that, or of course you have the damage boost, things like that. I will always say spread shot over damage boost because the total output you have is so much greater, but the idea is you're taking this Marauder, you are focused on moving, push forward combat, just like in Eternal. You want to keep moving around the field. This is okay and great if it's a wide open arena like Hell on Earth 2. It's a little more of a pain if it's close in like UAC Facility. Maybe not. I guess it just depends, again, on your personal preference, what kind of levels you like, where do you play well, where do you not play well, do you take cover with all behind the walls. Really depends on you and your personal play style, what you make of it. Either way you cut it, if you are playing this build here, if you are a tank, that is fine because you have the extra damage that you can make up with the Marauder that you wouldn't normally have. But if you're a damage build, you're going to be even more, going more overkill. Overkill? Hey, that's great. That's less time to kill if you can take them down. Just be careful on the bosses. Check out my upgrade order guide here so you know which stuff to upgrade so you can make the best of this Marauder skin. Come to the Discord for more free tips and tricks, link in the description. I am Austin. Thank you for watching.